What's going on, Monster Jam fans, and welcome to Let's Drive With, the series where we take your favorite monster truck out for a drive and tell you everything you need to know about them. Well, this truck needs no introduction, quite possibly number one or number two of the most famous monster trucks of all, Max D. Max D, or Maximum Destruction if you want to be a little more formal, was a 2000 futuristic SUV monster truck owned by Feld Entertainment and created by Tom Meents. Introduced in 2003 and run until 2024, Maximum Destruction was a successor to Goldberg and Team Meents and themed after Tom's own driving style. Personalized as a powerful robot named Maximus, formerly the creator of Chaos, that destroys anything in its path. Maximum Destruction was one of the most popular trucks of all time and had been the main rival to Monster Jam's other flagship truck, Gravedigger, in case you didn't know. Tom and Dennis Anderson shared a fierce on-track rivalry that started long before the debut of Max D and lasted until Dennis's retirement in 2017. It was also one of the most successful monster truck teams and has collectively won 15 Monster Jam World Final Championships. Tom has 14 all by himself, 9 of which came under the Max D and 1 by Blake Granger in 2019. Alright, let's go all the way back to the beginning in March of 2001 when the shutdown of WCW, or World Championship Wrestling as those of us who remember, led to Monster Jam losing the license for one of their wrestling-themed trucks, Goldberg, which resulted in the near immediate retirement of Sting and WCW Nitro Machine and of course Goldberg, like I just mentioned. That truck, however, was part of a separate contract between the wrestler himself and Clear Channel Motorsports. As such, Tom was allowed to run the identity until the contract ceased in September 2001. Shortly after Goldberg's retirement, a silver and orange robot-themed truck titled Maximum Destruction was conceptualized as a new identity for Tom and was named after his chaotic driving style and reused its predecessor's 2000 futuristic SUV body. However, from late 2001 to 2002, the truck would instead run as Team Meents, essentially the Goldberg body with different decals. For those years, with it debuting in the last Monster Jam event of 2001 and competing until the last Monster Jam event of 2002. After, it would transition into its longest lasting ride. Now in 2003, Max D made its actual competition debut in Birmingham, Alabama, which was actually the day before Tom's version debuted in Houston on the second Goldberg chassis. His teammate, Neil Elliott, would also begin running the same name. Tom would have a great season, doubling down at the truck's first appearance in the Motordome. However, Monster Jam World Finals 4 would be the first Monster Jam World Finals in which Tom didn't win a single competition, losing in round 2 of racing and getting 14th place in freestyle after he got stuck on a camper that was on a flatbed trailer. Max D also made its debut in a video game that year in Monster 4x4 Masters of Metal. In 2004, Tom would run a modified version of the Max D paint job for just the winter season and World Finals. It would feature orange bolts of electricity instead of flames. Now in Jacksonville, after a bad pogo off a bus, the rear end was separated from the truck. And at Monster Jam World Finals 5, Tom would snap the right front wheel off early in freestyle after hitting the camper van, but continued to run his truck, ramming it into obstacles and covering the entire back in a thick cloud of smoke. Ironically, he was the only competitor who'd fill the entire freestyle clock. He ended up tying with Medusa and El Toro Loco for the win, becoming part of the only multi-person freestyle championship in Monster Jam World Finals history. Neil Elliott would join Tom to perform in the encore, bringing 2 maximum destructions out onto the track. In 2005, Neil took a break from racing for the year and Phil Foster filled in for him. At Monster Jam World Finals 6, Tom dedicated his run to his deceased friend Derek Trenholm from Make-A-Wish, putting "In Memory of Derek" in place of his regular nameplate. For the encore, Tom and Dennis Anderson in Gravedigger freestyled at the same time. Tom ended up driving 2 maximum destructions after the first one crashed. Later that year, he used the truck to jump over his own house before completely smashing it to pieces. In 2006, Neil would return to driving, and at Monster Jam World Finals 7, Tom would jump over Neil's Max D, perched high atop the volcano fountain obstacle during the freestyle competition. He'd also get the biggest air of the night, though this did end up breaking the truck's rear steering. Tom filled the clock and won that year's freestyle championship. In 2007 in Kansas City, Chuck Warner actually got to drive the truck. Tom once again got the biggest air of the night during his freestyle run at Monster Jam World Finals 8, but unfortunately snapped the entire rear axle in half due to a hard landing after the jump, ending his run early. Later in June, at Monster Jam's first ever show in Gothenburg, he completed the first ever prototype backflip in monster truck history after landing the tailgate on top of a steep dirt ramp and rolling back down on all 4 wheels. In 2008, in Tacoma, Kevin Lewis actually got to drive the truck as a fill-in for Neil Elliott. At Monster Jam World Finals 9, mechanical problems prevented Tom from entering the final round of racing. Jimmy Cretin in Bounty Hunter, whom Tom had defeated in the semifinals, would take his spot. During his freestyle run, he infamously rolled over and broke a wheel off in the first hit. This would be the second time Tom ended his Monster Jam World Finals freestyle in one move. During the encore, Tom brought out a second maximum destruction, only to crash early yet again. Meents would win the racing competition in Minneapolis and dedicated the win to crew member Ryan Coe, who passed away from cancer just days prior. In 2009, Neil took another break from racing, and this time, former Iron Outlaw driver Craig Christensen filled in for him. At World Finals 10, Tom won his 4th racing championship and his first under the Max D name. His opponent in the final race, Alex Blackwell in Captain's Curse, violently crashed into the stands due to brake failure. In the encore, he'd complete a full backflip, though the truck landed on the tailgate and did roll onto its lid. Max D appeared on an episode of Extreme Makeover Home Edition shortly afterwards, where Tom would destroy the Mattingly family's old home. In 2010, Neil returned to driving yet again. A front-engine El Toro Loco, driven by Chuck Warner, debuted as a teammate to Maximum Destruction, replacing Bulldozer. Tom made it to the championship round of racing at Monster Jam World Finals 11, but lost to his arch-rival Dennis Anderson in Gravedigger. This was the first and only time they'd race against each other in the final round in the entire history of Monster Jam World Finals. In 2011, Tom introduced a brand new chassis at the start of the season, with the previous one now being driven by Neil. A third Max D truck was also added to the team, and it was driven by Craig Christensen. Unlike the other two, Craig's was a CRD chassis rather than the usual Meents. In Arlington, Tom would tear the entire front of the truck off at the end of his freestyle run, causing a massive fireball. He'd later win that year's Crash Madness award for it. At Monster Jam World Finals 12, Tom won the racing championship by taking out longtime rival Jimmy Cretin in Bounty Hunter, but would end up rolling over early in freestyle after locking up the right wheel planetary. In 2012, Neil would debut a brand new chassis for his truck and successfully complete a backflip in Houston. It was his very first one, so kind of a big deal. Rod Schmidt drove the truck in Ontario, and Tom won the racing championship again at Monster Jam World Finals 13, defeating Damon Branshaw in Monster Energy and becoming the first ever 10-time Monster Jam World Finals champion. The rear shocks broke after the race, but Tom's team was able to fix them in time for freestyle, only for Tom to break them again, as well as a 4-link bar in the middle of the run, thus ending the run early again. In June, he attempted the first double backflip during the Path of Destruction finale in East Rutherford, but was unsuccessful as the truck crashed in the middle of the second rotation. In December, the original Maximum Destruction body saw its last use in competition at Minneapolis. In 2013, Max D Team celebrated its 10th anniversary, and this was branded as the Decade of Destruction, with brand new body styles for all three drivers. Neil and Craig both received 3D spiked bodies with a 3D Maximus faces on the sides and huge fender plates. Tom's design stayed true to the class of Max D body by not featuring the spike panels and was covered in yellow LEDs. However, it did feature the new 3D Maximus faces on the sides. From this point forward, the truck is primarily known by its nickname Max D and not called Maximum Destruction. At the Monster Jam World Finals 14, Tom ran a chrome version of Neil and Craig's bodies and won that year's freestyle. A 10th anniversary Max D encore took place, where Tom unsuccessfully attempted another double backflip, while the rest of the team performed their own backflips and leaped into the air. In 2014, the 3D spiked bodies would become the default Max D design. Craig would leave the Maximum Destruction team to drive independently in Australia, and former Stone Crusher driver Morgan Kane took his place. At Monster Jam World Finals 15, in the semi-final race between Tom and Lee O'Donnell in Ironman, Tom was shut off for unknown reasons in a highly controversial move. The race was rerun with Tom defeating Lee amidst numerous boos from the crowd. In the final round, however, Tom spun out in the first turn, launching into the track and losing the championship to Adam Anderson in Gravedigger the Legend. In freestyle, Tom broke the rear steering after performing a backflip, yet was still able to save his truck at the end of the run and did finish in third place. In 2015, Morgan Kane became driving Max D for the More Monster Jam Tour, while Neil began competing on the Fox Sports 1 Championship Series. Morgan and Neil would both win their respective tours, while Tom received an invitation to Monster Jam World Finals 16. This would be the first Monster Jam World Finals in which more than one Max D or Gravedigger would compete. To compensate for this, Neil and Morgan ran special bodies for that event. Neil's was a metallic red recolor of the 3D spike design, while Morgan's was a gold version of the classic Maximum Destruction body, likely intended as a throwback to Goldberg and Team Meents, with the modern logo name on it. Lupe Souza drives the truck in Arlington and Foxborough, and in June, Tom attempted the first ever monster truck front flip in East Rutherford, New Jersey, with the use of a specialized mechanical ramp. The truck landed on its rear tires before somersaulting forward. As such, the attempt was considered unsuccessful by the Guinness World Records, who required that the truck land on its front wheels. Later that month, Tom once again attempted a double backflip at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Though the truck successfully landed on all four wheels, it turned sideways during the second rotation, making him unsuccessful yet again. The chrome 3D spike design would return without its 10th anniversary decals for both of these stunts and then retire. In 2016, Morgan and Colton Eichelberger switched between the Maximum Destruction and Gravedigger teams. Colton, Tom's stepson, joined his brother Jared as they'd compete in the West and East Triple Threat Series tours, while Neil drove in the West Coast and Tom competed in the Fox Sports 1 Championship Series. Each driver on the team, aside from Tom, ran a special recolor of the 3D spiked Max D body for that year. Colton's was gold, Jared's was yellow and black, and Neil's was red. In January, former Liquidator monster truck driver and Feld Motorsports Director of Fleet Operations, Mike Wales, passed away. In his honor, Tom ran a Mike Wales nameplate in place of his own in Anaheim, California. At Monster Jam World Finals 17, Tom successfully performed a 5-truck jump in the Racing Encore and was slated to perform in a 6-truck jump less than a month later at Santa Clara, California. However, due to the muddy conditions of the track, the stunt was controversially changed. The 6 trucks were parked vertically next to the center ramp rather than under it, meaning that Tom didn't actually jump directly over any trucks. The stunt was reattempted at East Rutherford, New Jersey, where it was performed successfully. In October, Jared ran Neil's red body on a spare CRD chassis from Monster Jam University at Glendale and would later run Colton's gold body on the same chassis in Jackson. Now in December, Tom debuted a new chassis in St. Louis, earning a racing win in Minneapolis a week later. Chuck ran the Max D body on his El Toro Loco chassis in Chile. In 2017, all Max D's drivers returned to running the gray 3D spiked body. Tom and Neil competed in the Fox Sports 1 Series East and West tours. Colton and Jared ran the Triple Threat Series tours yet again, though switching their respective tours from last year. Jared would also debut a new Max D chassis. Early into the year, Tom suffered a lower back injury and could not drive from the end of January through the end of May. Ironically, his arch rival Dennis Anderson also sustained an injury in January, although Dennis's would later prove to be the end of his driving career. Colton took Tom's place in the Fox Sports 1 East Tour, while new driver Blake Granger took over for Colton in the More Monster Jam East Tour. Monster Jam World Finals 18 would be the first World Finals in which Tom did not compete, as well as the first to have neither him nor Dennis as competitors. They were still present at the event, however, appearing in the pit party and doing interviews. Neil would successfully perform 2 first ever moves: a forward momentum backflip in the Monster Jam 25th anniversary stunt truck during the Racing Encore, and a reverse backflip in freestyle where he'd get second place. In 2018, Team Max D celebrated its 15th anniversary. Tom and Neil each ran a Monster Jam Stadium tour, while Colton and Jared once again ran in the Central and East Triple Threat Series tours. Neil also received a brand new chassis and won the Stadium Championship Series 1 in February. Tom and Colton would be invited to the next Monster Jam World Finals, while Jared would compete in the Double Down Showdown. At Monster Jam World Finals 19, the Racing Encore was dedicated to Max D, with all of the 2016 season bodies, except for the yellow, making an appearance, as well as the original Maximum Destruction. An all-new Blackout body run by Tom would also appear and make its debut. The next day, before the freestyle competition, Devil Dave drove Max D as part of a donut contest against Heavy D in Gravedigger 30. Though Dave failed to perform any donuts, he was humorously declared the winner. After World Finals 19, Neil ran Max D in the European Tour on a CRD chassis, while Chuck Warner drove the truck at events in Chile. This would be Chuck's final season before his retirement. In 2019, Tom debuted Max D Fire as part of Monster Jam's new Fire and Ice team element, competing in and winning the Stadium Championship Series 1. Jared retired from driving, though he later returned to the sport under Harper Motorsports in 2020, and Blake took his place and competed in the Triple Threat East Series. Colton and Neil continued to run their own trucks, competing in the Triple Threat Series and Stadium Tour 2 respectively. Tom and Neil competed in the main field at Monster Jam World Finals 20, where Tom won his first championship since 2013 in the brand new Monster Jam World Finals Two-Wheeled Skill Championship. Blake and Colton competed in the ATV Championship, and Blake won, becoming the first Max D driver aside from Tom to win a Monster Jam World Finals Championship, and the only driver ever to do so, as the ATV Championship would only exist for that particular event. Tom was selected as the team captain for Team Fire for the inaugural All-Star Challenge in Las Vegas, Nevada. Colton would also join him on Team Fire, while Neil competed against them on Team Ice. Neil and Tom ran as part of the Green and Yellow Stadium Tours, while Colton and Blake would compete in the Triple Threat East and Central Series yet again. Tom continued to run Max D Fire, while all the other Fire and Ice variants, besides from El Toro Loco, were discontinued. The season was prematurely ended due to the pandemic, and Neil and Colton were named champion of their respective series as they were in the lead at the time of its shutdown. In 2021, Neil announced his retirement from the sport, while Tom competed in that year's sole Stadium Championship Series. Max D Fire made its last appearance in Arlington, Texas, and the regular silver body with the large fenders removed would make its return at Monster Jam's first show at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Colton made his return in Austin, Texas on Neil's former chassis. In East Rutherford, a failed backflip severely damaged Tom's chassis, and he'd end up sharing Neil's chassis with Colton for the rest of the year. In 2022, two Max Ds were run for the first quarter. Tom competed on and won Stadium Series Red, while Blake returned to compete in Arena Series Central. Colton was originally scheduled to compete in the Stadium Series Yellow, but dropped out of the first quarter due to family issues and remained on hiatus from competing until 2024. Brendan Rassel would drive the truck in Lincoln, Nebraska, and at Monster Jam World Finals 21, Tom won both the two-wheel skills and freestyle championship, becoming a 14-time world champion. He was also the fastest qualifier by only a few milliseconds. Colt Stevens and Mark List would also drive the truck at various international shows. In 2023, the Max D team celebrated their 20th anniversary, with Tom running a special Max D 20 body for the season, while Blake would run the regular body. Tom competes on the Stadium Series Red. Unfortunately, at the first stop in Oakland, the truck blew its motor in intros and was unable to compete in the event. In February, Tom would win racing at the second Minneapolis show over Adam Anderson in Gravedigger, being his first stadium racing win since Kansas City all the way back in June 2021. After the win, he gave an emotional tribute to Bill Meents, his father, who had passed away earlier that week. Tom finished the tour in third place, and at Monster Jam World Finals 22, Tom ran a Bill Meents nameplate on both sides of his truck to honor his father. He would lose in round one of racing due to a 5-second penalty and ended up getting 7th place in freestyle. Colton made a surprise return driving the new Thunder Roarus truck as part of the 9-truck jump in the opening ceremony. Blake would end up driving Max D for the international tour. On August 31st, Tom announced his retirement after the 2024 season, along with the truck's retirement. On October 9th, it was revealed that Tom was picked as a competitor for the Monster Jam Superstar Challenge. He would also attempt a forward momentum backflip over 2 monster trucks in Thunder Roars to open that show. The stunt would be unsuccessful as he would land on top of the stump truck, damaging the chassis. He would be eliminated in round 1 of racing and would place 3rd in best trick and 10th in freestyle. In 2024, Tom ran his final competitive season before becoming a full-time teacher for rookie drivers as well as a stunt coordinator. He planned on bringing back many fan-favorite bodies throughout the season. It was announced at the kickoff show before the 2024 season that Max D would be leaving with Meents. These are the bodies that were run during that season. They had the split Max D 20 body, the Maximum Destruction body, Max D Silver, Max D Blackout, Max D Red, Max D Fire, Max D XX, and Max D Nitro. During the freestyle portion of the Sunday show in Indianapolis, Tom suffered a dislocated neck in a very scary crash. He would later make an official announcement that a returning Colton Eichelberger would be filling in for him for the rest of the season. However, Colton would only drive for the Tampa, Miami, and Minneapolis before having to leave the team. No one knows right now why he left. In Tampa, the Candy Apple red body return driven by Eichelberger on a CRD chassis. No special intro was used for the rest of the season, due to Tom being out. Blake Granger drove the truck in Orlando and Jacksonville where Blake would win skills. Cody Saucier drove the truck for the last 5 stadium shows on Stadium Tour East. Max D finished 5th in the final standings. In Costa Rica, Blake would win skills and freestyle and the record for the highest winning skills run with a fan judging with a score of 9.998. He would be the International Tour Champion and received his first main field and skills invite at World Finals 23 in Los Angeles. For the skills challenge, he ran the Max D Fire body. For racing and freestyle, he used the regular one. This would be the second World Finals to not feature Tom. Blake Granger would win the Breakout Driver of the Year with Brandon Toluchka. Tom would win Save of the Year and be given a Lifetime Achievement Award. Blake drove the truck for the last time in Sydney, Australia in October. The truck would then be retired at the end of the year. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed learning all of that about Max D as much as I did. I knew that this was a long-running storied truck, but I don't think I understood just how much Max D meant to this sport, and it's so sad to see that it's been retired. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they bring it out at some point because sadly, it's one truck I never got to see in person. But hopefully I'll get the opportunity to someday. So guys, let me know in the comments what truck you'd like to go driving with next. This was actually the most requested truck we've ever had in the series, and to be honest, I put it off for a while just because I knew how long it would be. We're almost at 30 minutes right now, and you can kind of hear my voice going. But nonetheless, I love doing it, and I'm looking forward to doing another truck for you guys, whichever one you want. So until next time, I need you to do 2 things for me. Number 1, be good to one another, and number 2, treat others the way you would want to be treated. So until next time, we'll see ya!